I'm going to pull a Trey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Episode 43 of Video Games Are Hard with Sid and Trey. This is my co-host, Trey.
I didn't realize being formal was pulling a Trey.
No, he says, you say hey at the start.
Just saying hey. Yeah, I got you.
Just pulling it. Anyway, today we have a guest. We have a guest. I've known him for years. Trey's known him for
I know
some
that he exists on Twitch.
Yeah. People exist everywhere. This is my good pal, ThunderShot. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Do we go ThunderShot 69?
No, I got rid of that.
No? What is it still ThunderShot 69 on YouTube or no?
Well, I don't really do YouTube anymore, so that one doesn't count.
Ooh.
But former YouTuber.
Did you do YouTube stuff before Twitch took off for you, I'm assuming?
I did YouTube stuff before Twitch really existed. Like, it was like barely starting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, I was in the YouTube game. I got up to like 200k subs before I eventually petered out on it. But
damn, really? Wait, what year are we talking about?
The year I got 200k, I don't remember. I started in like the very end of 2012, beginning of 2013, I think.
Okay.
Because I deleted a few of my first videos. My very first upload's got to be like February 2013, something like that. But yeah, I got really into Dragon Ball content, and I made a bunch of Dragon Ball content until I felt like I'd made all the Dragon Ball content I wanted to. And the reason, like, Dragon Ball took off, and it was something I was really interested in at the time, but the whole reason I started a YouTube channel in the first place is because I wanted to do Let's Plays. I wanted to play through games and just talk to people and have a great time, and then realized what streaming was. A lot of that thanks to speedrunners. That's what kind of opened up Twitch for me. And then realized what the platform was, and when I got burnt out on YouTube, I went over to Twitch and have been having a ball ever since.
There was definitely a period in like 2011, maybe even earlier, where before speedrunning took off and streaming took off, everyone wanted to be a Let's Player, especially a Minecraft.
Okay, Minecraft could miss me. I have dabbled in Minecraft because there was like DBZ mods and stuff that went with my channel at the time.
Oh, of course.
But, and like as time went on, I watched Minecraft, but I never had a desire to be like the Minecraft LPer.
Every time we attempt to play Minecraft, it's like maybe 2 weeks most, and then we just like we just peter out.
The first time we tried it was our longest attempt. It was probably like a month or so.
Yeah.
And then each successive time, it like gets exponentially shorter till we get bored.
It's fun to like run around with your pals for a bit, and then eventually it's just like there's nothing in this game. Like vanilla Minecraft, there's nothing here. Like
all there is the desert has those weird trap temples that are the same design every single time.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you guys have tried playing?
Oh god, I don't know. At least a year.
I tried like a month ago after the update. The new Nether update, I think. I didn't get to the Nether though. So it's just like
I will admit the Nether looks sick. You didn't even get to what it was.
I didn't even get to it.
So there is a bit more. First, I mean, like, it's definitely not for everyone, right? Because I mean, some people just aren't into, building or doing that, because a lot of the appeal is just do whatever the hell you want, and that's not everyone's cup of tea. But they have added a lot of stuff, because I played it like pre-alpha. I played it a little bit, and then I went back for the DBZ mods, and then I played it with my buddies a few months back. And I mean, they added some stuff to do, but the kicker with it is it's a lot of stuff I would never ever know to do if Twitch chat wasn't like, hey, you can do this by doing this. And I'm like, oh, never would have thought of that. That's the coolest thing ever. And then I build that for 45 minutes and.
Twitch chat's pretty cool sometimes, but I'm sure sometimes it's not so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, like Trey and I have gone on long diatribes about Twitch chat being like the antithesis of what you want for like a blind playthrough.
I don't think I could stream blind playthroughs of games that are like any bit serious or like could be spoiled, because I just know someone's gonna ruin it for me. It's like I'm not gonna get the right experience.
It definitely depends, right? So there's a big game that you would think I would have had issues with, right? But for the most part, I got through all of The Last of Us 2 without any major issues.
Really?
There was one minor one I could circle back to later, but like The Last of Us 2 was fine. I was streaming Ghost of Tsushima, because I think a lot of it's the community you build around, right? And being prepared for it. So like when I did The Last of Us 2, I put my shit in 1 month only follower mode, and it would have been 1 week. But I had been playing The Last of Us 1 Remastered the week leading up to it, and I didn't want any of those dickheads to sneak the follow in there and come back and get me, so I went around. But 1 month follow only mode saved me. Ghost of Tsushima, I got hit with one, I'm assuming big spoiler, I haven't made it to that part of the game yet, and that was, I didn't have any kind of follow only mode on for that. But man, when I played Final Fantasy VII Remastered, the Final Fantasy VII fans, even the ones like from my community, like regulars I see, were just so weird about a lot of shit, man. Anytime I talked about my favorite girl or some shit like that, I was getting hammered. Anytime I had an opinion on the story, they're like, well, it wasn't like that in the original. I'm like, dog, I don't fucking care about the original.
Dude.
Like, I never played it.
That's the point. Isn't this remake supposed to be a reimagination of it?
Yeah, it's a full blown, and I get why some people are upset at the idea of that, because to them the original's a masterpiece and they just need it in better graphics, which I understand, but that's just not what this is. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing different shit. Hope it ends well, right? But
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sid.
Go for it. No, you got it.
I was just gonna say I don't know how much Quan has played Final Fantasy VII, the original, but he said that the remake was one of his favorite RPGs ever, if not his favorite.
I'd co-sign that. The only thing with the remake is that it's 1/3 of a game. It's 60 plus hours. There's a lot to do in it, and it has a quote unquote ending, but it leaves room for more. But it's a third of a game, so I'm gonna have a more fully formed opinion when all of them come out. I can curse on here, right? By the way.
Oh yeah,
fine.
totally.
Okay.
The funny thing, like I've never played any of the Final Fantasy games. I've seen a review of Final Fantasy, the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and I know that it ends with like a character that everybody knows is dead in the original, like in just like a hospital bed, and you're supposed to be like, oh, is he going to survive or not? And you're just like, but there's the back of your head, there's enough different in the story that you're just like, oh, this person actually could survive. And
yeah, no, people who had played the original, I knew that one for sure, had done a double take. So I haven't really played. I played Final Fantasy 15, and I love that game to death. That was my first Final Fantasy game. Other than that, there's a YouTube review series I highly recommend by Clement J642. He does a Clement Remembers Final Fantasy.
Oh, I know that YouTuber. Yeah,
he did the Sonic 06 review way back in the day.
I know him from Sonic
one.
stuff.
Yeah, he was the Sonic and Mega Man guy for a while, but he's got a really solid series. I think he's up to like 13 now. I think he's on 13.2 or Lightning Returns or something of Clement Remembers Final Fantasy, and he goes in detail and sort of like semi-explains the story and the gameplay mechanics. He just has a really good series to catch you up on Final Fantasy if you ever wanted to go down that road. But I have, and I highly recommend it. So I kind of knew what some of the major key points of Final Fantasy VII were. And yeah, that ending part is a guy who's definitely no longer alive, and all of a sudden people are it's a real head turner at that point. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's just like enough different in the plot that it's just like, oh yeah, well they could just totally change this, because it's apparently like something about Final Fantasy VII. There's something about time travel or something about the plot is actually being changed.
Yeah, well, that's the cool part, right? And I think that's why, to me, it would be even cooler had I played the original.
Yeah.
Because people are mad because it's going differently, but there's throughout the entire game, and we're getting into spoiler territory because this is stuff you find out to the middle to the latter half of the game. But the game's been out for some months. Just play Final Fantasy VII Remake. Anyway, throughout the game, there are these spirits that come up, and they start like pushing you in certain directions. And the spirits exist because anytime you venture outside of the plot of the original game, the spirits are like destiny, meant to push you back into it. So if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, the spirits are just going nuts. Like in the very beginning of the game, you meet a character that Cloud meets a character that I don't think he meets in the original at that section. And the spirits are just flying around both of them, and you're trying to, I don't know. It's a really cool concept to me, and I'm excited for the future ones.
Yeah, like it sounds like a cool way to take a remake. It kind of reminds me, not really. I don't know. It's to bring it back to Sunshine for like a second. It's like how Trey and I look at the rumors of Sunshine remakes. Where it's
what happened to those, by the way?
Yeah, but I don't know. Nintendo's fucking quiet F.
Funny how that happens. Where like every single journalist ever is like, oh, there's these rumors that 3D Mario is getting remade, and then radio silence.
Yeah. But our take on the remakes is that like we don't want the exact same game, because the thing about like Melee and Sunshine, like anything from that era, it's all about the controls, and we know it's not going to be the exact same. So we're just like, you know what? Give us a Final Fantasy VII, like have Shadow Mario be going back in time, like Baby Bowser Jr. I say Baby Bowser and Trey gets triggered.
Because it's not right.
I know.
I'm going to clear this up to anyone who doesn't know. Baby Bowser is Bowser as a baby. Bowser Jr. is Bowser's son.
It's good.
See,
I sometimes I just make the mistake, you know?
It's fine. It's just a little thing that triggers me. It's okay, though.
Yeah, so I definitely lived my whole life until a couple years ago thinking that Baby Mario and Baby Luigi were like Mario and Luigi just kids from some timeline. I was like visibly upset when I found out that wasn't the case. I was like, they're the same fucking guy? I don't know.
Wait,
They came from storks in Yoshi's Island.
How old are you? Just if you're
enough.
willing to answer that.
I just turned 27.
Oh fuck, I'm older than you.
You're older than me? Hell yeah.
What the fuck? All right.
Hell yeah.
Well, see that was my when like Yoshi's what's the second Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island?
Yoshi's Island, yeah.
There we go. See, I have to put the whole title for some reason in order to know Yoshi's Island. But I never played that as a kid, and
Me neither.
And I have no nostalgia for it whatsoever. And I knew that Baby Mario was a younger version of Mario, but like playing Double Dash when I was, I don't know, however old when I was playing Double Dash, like for some reason, like I didn't know it at the time, but at some point I learned it. I'm like, oh, okay, from like YouTube.
Wait, you're older than me. What were you, like 30 when you were playing Double Dash?
Yeah, I was 30. I was just sitting in the. Yeah, we're only 1 year difference. See, it's I could have sworn you were older than me for like ever. No,
I
guess not.
just look like it.
Yeah,
I've been getting told I
see-
look 30 years old since I was 22. So
He was
Yeah.
older than you, and then at some point, like, you caught up with him.
Yeah.
It's like, are you sure?
you're speed running life now, buddy. You passed me.
Yep.
So, you know what? We'll get into ThunderShot now. Hey, ThunderShot, welcome to the show.
Hey.
We have our questions that we asked every guest. You know,
Uh-oh.
and it's not personal. Actually, no, they're very, very personal questions.
What's your
Never mind.
age?
What's your age?
Younger than Sid.
I go down my list. It's age, sexual preference, and it just keeps going
Location.
down.
Yeah. Religion, political affiliation, you know.
Just all the usual stuff.
Yeah.
It's all game. What you think, how the world should change. You know, who you're going to vote for in 2020. You know,
Right.
we go through all that. But mostly we talk about games. You know, video games are hard. You can make any video game as difficult as you want, based on replaying it, speedrunning, etc.
Even Dora the Explorer journey to the Purple Planet.
Exactly. So, to introduce people to you and your video game history, we ask people what their first gaming memory is.
I can't say 100% that I like remember this because I did it for several years in a row, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if I can remember like the point that it started, but I know when before I turned 3 years old, I was playing Sonic 2 on my grandma's Sega Genesis in her basement. And
Wow.
I kept doing that until she left that house, which was like 10 years later.
Sonic 2 was like the best-selling Sonic game, right?
Yeah, I mean at the time for sure. I don't know about ever. I don't know. If
I know it
anyone ever-
outsold Sonic 1. Wait, how well do the modern Sonic games sell, by the way?
I couldn't tell you.
I know that they're like pretty controversial in terms of quality, but
The only sales numbers I know for any game recently is that Skyward Sword sold, I guess not recent, sold just under 4 million, and then Breath of the Wild sold over 14 million. This is the only metric that I have.
Skyward Sword relative to the console popularity is a huge flop.
I fucking love, I love that Skyward Sword flopped so hard. I just love
Wasn't
it.
Skyward Sword as a game a huge, like, just gameplay in general a huge flop? Didn't people not like that one?
I never
Yes.
played it.
Except it won Game of the Year. No, it won Game of the Year because it came out the same year Skyrim did. I know that.
Oh, jeez. God.
Wait, it
That's
was
like, if
ranked
you-
higher than Skyrim?
On the fucking Game of the Year awards, I guess. If you ever see me
Huh.
tweet that the Game of the Year awards pay favorites to Nintendo, it's because of shit like that. It's like, I will never forget that fucking Game of the Year awards picked Skyward Sword over Skyrim.
I don't remember that. And if I was like, in like 2010, I would probably have been like actually paying attention to video games around that time because I was listening to a lot of gaming podcasts or starting to around that time. So
You'd have been in like your mid to late 30s, yeah.
yeah, I would have been like 42, maybe
least.
about there. But yeah, that would be actually insane. I can't remember that. But what do you think about this year then? Like maybe not to go into what you think of The Last of Us 2 yet, just in case people care about the spoilers or haven't been spoiled yet.
Hope to God The Last of Us 2 wins. I'm not going to talk about spoilers to the game. It was a very polarizing game.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like it for very valid reasons. A lot of people didn't like it for very bad faith reasons.
Yeah.
But I liked it. You definitely got to be like an extreme level of open-minded. But
to not get too far into it, we're gonna go back to like Sonic, because your first game.
We're jumping from like
bubble.
the early history to now very quickly.
Okay.
Sure.
Wait.
I was
You
gonna
want me
say
to go
something
back-
else, but sure, Trey can do that.
No. Say your thing, bro.
I was gonna ask just like versus Ghost of Tsushima. Everybody when Ghost of Tsushima came out was very high on it, and I haven't heard a lot of buzz about it recently. But when like I don't know, sometimes when like a really good thing, like a really good product comes out, it's big for 2 weeks. But if it doesn't stir up drama, it doesn't really. It just kind of peters out, and nobody really talks about it all that much. But Last of Us 2, being as polarizing as it was, people are still talking about it debatably. You know, so what do you think? Like rough comparison, I guess, of your impressions.
I could absolutely see Ghost of Tsushima also winning Game of the Year. So there's 3 acts in Ghost. I played through the first act, and then I kind of had a family thing where I had to stop for a while and go handle that. And then I came back a week later, and the hype on Twitch for Ghost had kind of died. And I kind of had some other stuff. I was getting really into the Mario runs and stuff like that. So I kind of put it on the back burner. Not at all because it was a bad game. I had beaten the first act, but I went back to 100% the first act. I was having a great time.
Yeah.
I could also see Ghost of Tsushima winning Game of the Year. The reason I think it might not, and it might lose to either The Last of Us 2 or probably Animal Crossing, is because Sekiro won last year. And that's Japanese sword fighting game. And then I just don't think they'll want to do back-to-back Japanese sword fighting game wins.
That makes
Does
sense.
that make sense?
That definitely makes sense. Like the part of my brain, the honest part of my brain hates it, but like
right, yeah, no, because you're like, if the game's good, if the game's
Yeah.
the best game of the year, it should win Game of the Year. But from the standpoint of them running the show and all that, you would think, well, we just did this last year,
yeah, we got to have Boyhood win this year. We had I don't know what's the opposite of Terminator 2 won last year, even though Boyhood and Terminator 2 came out way different times, and I don't think either of them won best movie. Wait, no, Boyhood made whatever. But yeah, back to Sonic 2. See, I expertly diverted the conversation away from Sonic because I have literally played, I think, 1 level of a Sonic game ever.
And I'm a pretty big Sonic player. I played pretty much all the classic ones except for the really obscure ones and most of the GameCube era ones and all that. But yeah.
So were you a big Sonic fan, or was that just like your first game?
Both. I played Sonic 2. I went back and there was a Sonic 1 that I also had access to on the Sega Genesis back then.
Mm-hmm.
Played that. We had Sonic and Knuckles, but not Sonic 3, so I've never actually got to play like the big one that everyone regards as like the best ever. But the cool thing is Sonic and Knuckles still worked with Sonic 2. So for you kids out there, for you Zoomers, back in the day, you had cartridges, right? And not the Nintendo Switch kind.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They still have them now.
Look up a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo 64. You had a cartridge, all right?
Wait.
But the Sega Genesis was dope. Because I don't know if this...
Sorry, if you licked them, did they taste good?
You know, back then we didn't think to lick them. We just weren't as smart as the kids nowadays.
Okay, I was just wondering. You know?
Yeah. We did have to blow them, though, frequently. To get them to work properly. That was out of necessity, though. That wasn't for like a TikTok or anything.
God, I miss blowing cartridges.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't think any system had ever done this before, but when the Sega Genesis dropped Sonic and Knuckles, the cartridge had a lid on top that you would flip up. So you could put the cartridge into the Sega Genesis and open the top, and there'd be room for a second cartridge, and then you could jam Sonic 3 on top of that, and you could play Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is just the coolest idea in the fucking world. But it also worked with Sonic 2 because you got to go back and play through Sonic 2 as Knuckles. The game was exactly the same, except you got to play as Knuckles, so I did that a lot. That was a lot of fun.
That's
I always
really
thought
cool.
that was really clever on their part.
Yeah.
It's
And
one of the few clever hardware manipulations Sega did. And there's also like the Sega CD and all the weird decisions they made too.
Yeah. I never, I've seen gameplay of Sega CD from Clement again, but I never got to that one. I didn't have a Game
Sonic
Gear.
CD?
Yeah.
Dude, Sonic CD is actually the first Sonic game I ever played. And I remember, I forget if I've ever talked about this on the podcast, but I had a PC port of it from like the 90s somehow. And that's just how I played it. It had Echo the Dolphin in that game, and I thought it was amazing.
Oh, Echo, man. I remember playing Echo a lot, and then looking back at it now, that game sucked ass.
Echo the Dolphin, dude, that game, like, It just sticks in my mind because it's so weird.
It's probably just because I was a dumbass kid who like couldn't figure it out, but like that game sucked ass. Like I would play that game for hours and make no progress at all. I wanted to go find like there was like a whale friend or something you could get to early on. I just wanted to go swim with the whale friend, but yeah, that game kicked my ass.
It's very cryptic and like you can move really fluidly if you know what you're doing, but it's hard to. It takes a handle on the controls.
I bet the speedrun kicks ass.
What's the rule set for becoming a classic? Like with Echo the Dolphin, there's a lot of games out there. It's just like, oh, you're not allowed to critique. It's the first of
Mario
its kind.
64
Blah, blah,
is the
blah.
first of its kind. You can't really critique it.
Yeah. What Echo the Dolphin? Why didn't it supersede? Why didn't it get into the classic column? You know,
I wouldn't
Echo the Dolphin.
say any game is a.
Oh, sorry, were you saying something?
Oh, I was just gonna. I would say any game should be critiqueless, but.
But is Echo the Dolphin even considered a classic? You know, I've heard
It's a cult classic, I'd say.
I very rarely hear classic thrown around. Like when you hear Sega classics, Echo the Dolphin is usually like past 10 on the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's somewhere further down there.
Did everybody think it was bad when it came out?
No, I loved it. Dumbass kid couldn't do any better. I played that game all the time.
But you
When
know,
I got older, I was like, wait.
See, the 42-year-olds at the time, like me, would I have hated Echo the Dolphin?
That depends entirely on like how you would have felt about puzzle games, especially older puzzle games like that one where they're annoying and not forward at all, and you just kind of got to dick around till you find out what to do next.
Uh-huh.
It's a puzzle game where you have limited air, so you got to keep eating fish, and you got to like use your sonar on crystals, and it's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think if that's one of those games. I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. I think that's one of those games where you mentioned this with Sunshine. I don't know if we'd started the podcast yet or not. The more you play it, and if you know what to do, it gets better.
Yeah, but with Sunshine, I feel like it's a significantly easier game if you just know where you're going. Versus me and my brother as a kid, we never played Mario 64, so my brother's friend had to show us how to get to Noki Bay.
Yo, exact same. I had to have a kid on the bus tell me how to get to Noki Bay.
It's so cryptic.
I was the dumb kid that played SM64, but I was 10 when I played, 43 when I played Super Mario Sunshine, and like I didn't make the connection. I think my cousin referenced it like, oh, remember Mario Wings to the Sky, and I'm like, oh, idiot. Like, idiot 10-year-old, obviously.
Even after playing the game, you didn't know. It's cryptic, dude.
So I feel like I kind of got unlucky, right? Because all these dumbass Piantos are just looking around staring into the sun, right? Mm-hmm. And I went up there, and I think the first time I tried to get into Noki Bay, I stood next to the sun and looked directly at it. And then I think I stood on the sun and just didn't look close enough to the sun when I looked back up. So I was like, well, fuck, I don't know. And I left. And I think blue coin short, I think I'd gotten damn near every shine in the game. And I was talking with a buddy of mine on the school bus to school that day about, yeah, man, I don't know the level one. And he's like, well, you got to beat so many. And it's like, I might be missing a level. I don't know. He's like, fucking Noki Bay. You got to look into the sun. I'm like, oh, so I tried it again when I got home and then figured out the rest. But I definitely got caught not being able to get into that level.
Also, some of the kids on the bus, they were trying to troll your shit. When
Sure.
I was playing Ocarina of Time, my first time playing through Ocarina of Time when I was a kid, in like, I guess, I don't know how old I was, I guess grade 1, there were grade 2 kids being like, oh, the megaton hammer's in the lava, like underneath everything. And I'm just sitting there going like, where the hell? Like, I dedicated probably so much time, this dumb grade 1 kid, just wandering lava in parts of the fire temple in order to find the megaton hammer or the hammer or whatever people referenced. And then I don't know. I don't think I got a lot of help from the kids on the bus from school. That's my point.
I definitely had a kid in my like first grade class trying to tell me about Pokemon Red and Blue, and he was like, the little one that he told was you could steal another trainer's Pokemon because there was one dumb kid in the forest. So if you threw in the whole like, that area to the right of Surge's gym, right past Diglett Cave, there's like a whole square full of trainers in a grassy area, and he was like, if you throw a Pokeball at one of the kids there's dumb, and he'll just let you catch his Pokemon, and that's pretty cool. And there was that rumor, and then there was, after you beat the game, if you surf behind Misty's gym at nighttime, at like midnight exactly or something, you could surf into the wall, and Mew would be in there.
Dude, old-time game urban legends, oh my god, they're so great.
Dude, speaking of old-time schoolyard rumors, The craziest video game rumor of all time was actually like solved recently. Remember?
Oh yeah.
L is real 2401. You know about that, ThunderShot?
So I didn't even realize that the L is real thing was there. I don't know. I guess I just never noticed it or something. But I mean, it's obviously been a thing that's been requested, or like would have been cool if Luigi was in. But I don't think I actually knew the whole rumor. I did hear about it getting solved when they got into the game files and stuff, because people were sharing the audio clips of So Long Gay Bowser, because they got the whole clips and everything.
It's not gay anymore. It's So Long A. You know, that's what it is.
I never thought he said gay. I always thought it was King. I always thought it was So Long King Bowser, and the K just didn't really come out well.
I refuse to believe it. It'll always be Gay Bowser to me.
I have never cared enough to really think about it, but I was just like, oh, like So Long, whatever. I don't think. Go for it.
Oh, I was good. The only reason I thought about it is because, like, I know he's not saying gay Bowser. Like, I know that's not it.
But
I mean, he could be.
He kind of is, you know? Like, if he pronounces long like Cathalon pronounces long, he could be saying gay Bowser, you know?
Or Banger. You just pronounce the G in there.
But yeah.
But the whole thing is crazy to me, though, because, like, surely they've had this... That had to be, like, crazy long con for, like, 24 years to do that. Like, this had to be planned, like, more recently than, 1996, right?
It's so weird that I was talking to you like 2 weeks ago, Trey, about I saw this random video. It had a bunch of random Mario facts, and
he was just going the iceberg one, right?
Yeah, and he was just like going through step by step a bunch of rumors about like SM64, and I was just listening to them as I was doing yard work, and like they eventually talked about the L is real. Like a lot of these I had never heard of before in my life, and 2 weeks ago, I had heard it for the first time. I'm like, oh, L is real? It's like, this is a thing? I've never heard of this before. And then like a week later, it's like, this is all real. And I'm like, what the am I for every now and then when that happens, I'm like, am I in a simulation? Like, did I just learn of this and never heard of it before? And then now it's just all confirmed to be real. I'm like, why do I always have to have the context for these things? Like, why can't I just exist within my own space-time and then randomly it's like, oh, L is real. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing. Cool. Like,
that was just really convenient timing for you, because I knew about it for about a year, I think. It was like, it either says L is real 2401 or Elemental Star or something.
It's like somebody's writing my life in some aspects as like a television show, and they needed to set it up before like giving some payoff. It's like, oh, L is real, but like shittily written. It's like, oh, a week ago he randomly, for some reason, watched this video, and then a week later it's like, oh, it's like, this is a bad TV show. This is just a really bad TV show.
Just God fucking with you.
Yeah, it's just God fucking with me.
That's got to be like the biggest. Like Luigi and Mario 64 is probably the biggest rumor in video game history, right?
I had never heard of it.
Really? It's like, if you like run around the statue and ground pound 3 times and say something.
I would argue the biggest rumor, and the only reason it didn't quite hang around is because it's easily disproven. The biggest rumor for a while, is it not Mew under the truck?
Mew under the truck?
Yeah, Pokemon Red and Blue. So if you go to, when you first get on the SSN, right? There's water around you, but you don't know surf yet. You get on the ship, you finish the ship, you get off the ship sails away, you get kicked out of that area, and you're never allowed back there again. But if you faint while on the ship, while already getting, because you go there to get the HM cut, if you get cut and then battle another trainer and faint on the ship, the cutscene of the boat leaving never happens, and you still have access to the boat. So you play the game on till you get the HM Surf and Strength, and then you can go back there and you can surf around in the water. And to the right of the water is just a fucking truck for some reason. There's no vehicles anywhere in the entirety of Pokemon Red and Blue except this spot. There's a truck just off screen. And the rumor always was that if you went over and surfed it, or used Strength on it, you would push the truck out of the way, and Mew was hiding underneath the truck. But that was a big one forever. Other than the fact that you could test it yourself in a matter of, hours.
Yeah.
I've literally never heard of this. That's pretty crazy.
Me neither. That's an interesting
So it can't be the biggest rumor, right?
But I didn't know what L is real was.
I mean, we hadn't heard of, all of us collectively hadn't heard of L is real till within the last year or so, right?
Oh, okay, let's admit, like, maybe you haven't heard of the L is real thing, but you at least were like, I wonder if Luigi's in this game at some point, right?
Oh, sure.
Like everyone's wondered that, I think.
But I mean, it's the same idea. Pokemon has 151 Pokemon, so
True.
if you weren't one of the people who got the Japanese exclusives, Mew's the only one not in that game, which, leaves a lot of people.
Yeah, Pokemon is always mysterious like that.
So I guess we'll go back to the ThunderShot timeline, right?
Sure.
Are we running down my Sonic timeline still?
Yeah,
Or-
sure. You want to go back to Sonic, or do you want to go to like, I don't know, N64? And you get an N64?
Well, my Sonic history wasn't much further, because then I didn't touch from the Genesis. I didn't touch Sonic again until GameCube, and then I played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which is one of my favorite games ever made, and Sonic Heroes, which I still think is pretty okay. It's before Sonic went south, and then I really didn't touch it again until Mania, which kicks a lot of ass, and that's it. That was my Sonic timeline.
That's a good Sonic timeline.
I just had Sonic
yeah.
on my brain when you mentioned Clement.
No, that's fair. He was the Mega Man guy, then he was the Sonic guy, and then he finished it. He's played through every Sonic game ever, save for like 2.
Is there a game series that either of you have played the entirety of, like every single?
Oh
game?
yeah, The Last of Us.
That's such an easy.
Left Behind DLC too. Got
Like,
it.
oh, Death Stranding. I finished Death Stranding in that one game. I didn't even finish Death Stranding.
Yeah, I don't think I could say that. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single. Like, I didn't play Last of Us 2, so I can't even say Last of Us 2 or Last of Us.
Was there more than one Doug game? Because I played Doug on the Game Boy Color.
Oh fuck!
That game is so dumb and boring, by the way, but it's Doug, so what can you
Shout
expect?
out to The Simpsons for making me believe at a young age that licensed games all were going to be that good.
Oh,
Oh.
that's probably one of the best ones.
Dude, played Road Rage, especially Hit and Run, and then I'm like, hell yeah, what's this Family Guy game like? And then it sucks ass.
Dude, that is so funny. I was just about to. I thought you were talking about just Hit and Run, and then I'm just like, yeah, fucking Road Rage was also sick, even though it's a ripoff of Crazy Taxi, right?
Yeah, they went from crazy. I think they actually got like sued a little bit for the Crazy Taxi ripoff on that.
Just a little bit, just a little.
And then they moved on to Grand Theft Auto ripoff. So,
dude,
Wow, yeah, both games literally are ripoffs. That's crazy.
But they're just injected with Simpsons references for everybody. That, like, no matter how big or small of a fan of Simpsons you are,
which is really their charm. Like, if you
Yeah.
watch Simpsons avidly, you're probably going to have, a very competitive experience with Road Rage that you would with Crazy Taxi, because the gameplay's still there, even if it's not quite as good. But they're just making you laugh the whole time with Simpsons stuff. Like,
yeah. Same with Road Rage and everything. Like, Road Rage, I was watching somebody play Last of Us 2, and in contrast to some people's opinion, he did not like the game. And when they were discussing it afterwards, he literally turned on Simpsons Hit and Run, and people in chat were just like, "Wait, you're turning on Simpsons Hit and Run?" It's like, yeah, this is my palate cleanser game that I just turn on. It's just nice to just hang out and just drive around and listen to the Simpsons references, and it's just kind of relaxing. But yeah, dude, licensed video games. God, is there another good one? I can't
Battle for
even.
Bikini Bottom.
so it pulled
Battle
the
for
old
Bikini.
reverse card, the No You, but I think Tak and the Power of Juju.
I
started
played that
off
one
as a
as
video
well.
game.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't like amazing.
Yeah, it started off as a video game, as like a platformer type beat 'em up sort of,
Yeah.
and then the game got enough traction that it became a really shitty Nicktoons show.
See, I was never sure if it was actually a show or not.
It was. They might have made a movie out of it first. I don't remember, but it definitely became a show. And
Because
it
I
was not
knew
good.
like THQ made it, right?
Probably they made everything back
And
then.
they also made like all the license stuff. So I was assuming, if THQ worked on this, surely there's like a TAC show of some sort. But I
Oh.
wasn't ever sure if there was.
Shit, good license game. My buddy and I just the other night found out that Aladdin and The Lion King for Sega Genesis is on PS4 for like $13 right now. Those games both kick ass.
Yeah, they kick your ass too, though.
Yeah, no, they're really hard. I guess so. Something I found out a couple years back is I guess The Lion King is highly regarded as one of the hardest video games ever made. Before this area where, like indie devs can make anything and make it nearly impossible, or, you got games super trying to be hard.
You have Cuphead, where the journalists are having difficulty getting past the tutorial.
Jumping up. Well, I would argue that Lion King might be harder than Cuphead, but
I don't know anything about
Lion King is heavily regarded as, especially for the classics, one of the hardest video games ever made. I found that out a couple of years ago, and I was like, I used to beat this almost daily when I was like 8.
Wait, but are we talking Lion King on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo?
I'm talking Genesis, and I believe when they're talking hardest ever, they're talking Genesis.
Okay, because
Aladdin.
I know that for Aladdin and Lion King both, they each had SNES and Genesis adaptations that were totally different.
Yeah, so I played the Genesis of both. I think, from what I've been catching up on in the last couple of days, learning that and everything, I think Genesis was more the definitive quote-unquote Lion King one, like that's the one to play. And I didn't play it, but I think the SNES version was the bigger Aladdin one.
I played SNES Aladdin because I was inspired by the Game Grumps who played it. And it's really fun. I got through like probably 3/4 of it, but it gets pretty hard, and yeah, it's fun though.
I played Aladdin a lot when I was a kid. My cousin owned it, and I don't remember anything about it. Like I remember jumping, you know. I don't know. You jumped.
Remember jumping?
I remember jumping. Okay. I don't know. I was young, and then
Wait, are we talking? You're talking the SNES one, right?
I think so. I don't know because I could ask. I could ask him, but his.
Did you have a sword?
I don't remember.
Because the sword is the Genesis one. If it's no sword, it's SNES.
Oh, dude, SNES sucks.
Okay.
Dude.
Well, they're both on PSN right now. They're on sale, and I think they come with both versions and the Japanese version and demos.
Holy crap.
They come with the whole thing. And man, I just played through the first couple levels of them on stream the other night just to like remember it because it had just been so long since I had it in my hand. And the soundtracks also knock it out of the park because they're just movie soundtracks, but Genesis-ified.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know.
I
they're
believe
bangers.
that. I believe that. Another game that I was trying to think of like all the games I've ever played. I not all the games I've ever played. A series of games that I've played all of. I haven't played all of Prince of Persia, but I've been very close. I have like one game that I haven't played, but to also go to like it being popular enough to be given a movie adaptation or a television show, Prince of Persia as well, where they made what everybody thinks is a bad adaptation of the game as Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, the movie. Has anybody seen that movie?
I have not.
Nope.
No? Everybody thinks it's bad. I think it's good. I'll get off of this really quick, but anybody in the comments, I would like to know what people think that listen to our show of their, like, what they think of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, because it doesn't adhere to the story of the game at all. Like, there are literally characters. There's the only consistent character is like, I don't even know if there's even one character that's the same, but it's like just such a different story, and it's still fine. I think it's fine. It just gets looped in with everybody else or every other video game property. Which is like, oh, video game movies suck. But I don't know, Sands of Time is fine. That's from a Sands of Time fan. Anyway, that's
Is there more to Prince of Persia than just parkouring around little ledges and stuff?
Yes, there's a story.
Okay.
He runs on walls. You know, he's debatably more acrobatic than the Assassin's Creed guys. You know, except for maybe
shots fired at the Assassin's Creed guys.
Dude, it's the same. It's the same developer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ubisoft made Prince of
Ubisoft.
Persia.
Okay, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, Ubisoft made Prince of Persia and then made Assassin's Creed in 2006 or 2007, and then went, fuck off this stupid Prince of Persia shit, and then they just started pumping out all these Assassin's Creed, and I was sitting there going like, oh, Assassin's Creed's fine. I really liked Prince of Persia though. And then it just echoed. I liked Prince of Persia though. I liked Prince of Persia though. I liked Prince of Persia though.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed 3 is coming out next week, buddy.
Assassin's Creed 17 this year. I don't even know.
Wait, when was the last Prince of Persia made?
Fuck. They actually made a pseudo sequel. They made like an in between. They made originally 3 Prince of Persia games, and then like one in 2008 that didn't really adhere to that storyline, and then another one in 2011, I think, that was like an in between of Prince of Persia 1 and 2. But since then, I don't think they've made any. I could be wrong, but definitely nothing that really hit hard for sure.
Unfortunate.
I liked Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia is sick. You guys should. You know what? If we're recommending games, Aladdin, Lion King, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and Warrior Within.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
If we're still on licensed titles, it gets kind of weird going into this because it's a whole can on its own. But the Spider-Man games were good, based on the Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah.
Movies.
Oh yeah, those were sick. I remember playing Spider-Man 1, my cousin owned it, and just like playing the tutorial missions and Tobey Maguire and everything. It's
Yeah.
fine. I don't.
It's kind of different going into superhero territory because those games are all over the place. But
it's all over the place in like specific. Batman's the only like good one, right?
Spider-Man 4 is almost unarguably really great.
Is that the one that came out last year or?
Well, Spider-Man PS4, excuse me, yeah. The one that came out in, I think it was like late 2018.
I don't know anything about it. I know that it was big, but I never really cared enough to play it. But yeah, I guess we'll go back to the timeline. Well, okay, I guess we can jump to like, were you a COD guy? Like everybody that we've had on the podcast was a COD guy.
Well, put another one on the list, fellas.
Yeah, let's
Literally
Dude, COD is
everyone
all-
had a COD phase.
If I'm trying to recap my own timeline, I mean, I grew up on the N64. I never touched a Zelda game, really. I never beat a Zelda game.
Which ones have you touched though?
So one of my grandmas had SNES that had, I think it's A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Yep.
I played that a little bit, but I barely ever got my hands on that one because that was just not, the SNES didn't get brought out very often. And then
that's crazy though. Like to say the SNES, it's like, which one was for the SNES? That's actually crazy to say that nowadays. Like I've never interacted with a gamer that goes like, SNES. Which Zelda was that? Had that one? You know, I just want to acknowledge that's interesting.
Whatever one didn't just get remade on the Switch, because I bought the remake on the Switch thinking that it was the game that I thought, and then it wasn't. Thinking it was the game that I played before, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then Zelda 2, I think. It's either Zelda 2 or the original Zelda, I'm not sure, on the original Nintendo.
Oh, those are radically different.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it side scrolling or was it overhead?
It was top-down view.
Okay, so
that's Zelda 1 then.
That's the original.
And then and then you would hit the edge of the map, and then the whole screen would come with you, and then you keep going.
Yeah. That's it.
But yeah, those are the only Zeldas I really played, and then I didn't touch like any.
So no 3D Zeldas.
But I mean, I had the N64. I did the usual suspects on the N64 for the most part, minus Zelda. Got the GameCube. Sunshine came with the GameCube. Played a lot of Double Dash. Played a lot of Sonic Adventure 2, and basically played no other games on the GameCube. That thing sat there a lot. PS2 had 30 million games. Played that. You know, got into wrestling games and sports games and everything
You're
else.
a PS2 kid.
Yeah, of course. Who was it? Yeah.
I
wasn't a PS2 kid. But it's interesting because we have a lot of people. What do you think of the discussion around? Because you're around for like you know speedrunning communities and all that stuff. Everybody thinking that the GameCube is the best console. Like, what do you think about that?
I don't know how that argument can exist.
Yeah.
Like I'm not kidding. Like I don't know, because it's got the top Zelda and then Sunshine on it to run. Like I don't.
We got Wind Waker, Melee.
See, the thing about PS2, I never owned a PS2, but like, I always constantly hear things when it comes to games that are on multiple platforms. The PS2 one's always like the least. It always runs the worst.
Yeah, they would run. You don't want like the Sonic Heroes PS2 version.
Yeah,
you
I've
want
heard
the
terrible
GameCube
things
version,
about
right?
that.
Definitely and all that. But the PlayStation 2's library is so nuts. That game has like so many thousands of games. Like I could go to the store every day for 2 years straight and pick a different game off the Walmart shelf every day that I didn't own before. You know what I mean? Like the library is just so nuts. The bargain bins, the stuff you'd find in there for $10. I had a game called WWF Crush Hour because I was into wrestling, right? Still am. And it was a Twisted Metal ripoff, but it was all wrestlers, WWE guys. But it was just so many just off the wall, all over the place. The library for the PS2 was just literally bottomless. And then when I think back to me playing the GameCube, I had Sonic Heroes and Sonic Adventure 2. Like I had probably less than 10 games that I played for more than a couple hours on the GameCube.
There was a bottom, is what you're saying. There was a bottom to that barrel for you.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it lacks the most, is it doesn't have games. Like, yeah, I didn't play a whole lot of Melee, but Melee definitely has a huge spot in history. Sunshine is one of my favorite games ever, right? Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is definitely one of my favorite games ever. But if you're locking me in a room for like 6 months and you're like, are you taking the PS2 and its whole library? Are you taking the GameCube and its whole library? Like, I'm picking the PlayStation 2 every single time. You know what I mean?
See, well, what's funny is that I would answer GameCube, but that's only because of Sunshine, because I could just dump. Being a Sunshine runner, I could be like, yeah, okay, I'm going for 90. I'm going for 96 shines world record.
You come out with a 113 80%, like.
You go to the hyperbolic time chamber or whatever.
You have access to the GameCube's whole library. You just play Sunshine for 6 months.
Well, like, I don't know what else. I played Simpsons Hit and Run a little bit, you know.
You play Pikmin. I don't know, whatever you want.
I've never played Pikmin. I don't
Neither
know.
have I. I always hear Pikmin's really good though.
What's funny is that I kind of agree with you, ThunderShot. Like I liked enough on the PS2 that I'm like, I respect this. Like God of War, I like a lot. I didn't play everything so much, but I don't get the older I get, being 73 right now. I
thought you were 74. Shoot.
You missed my birthday.
Oh,
you added a birthday. The fact that. Oh, I guess what I'm saying. The older I get, the more I look back at those games and I'm like, I don't know, they were okay. You know, I get more curmudgeon. There's more curmudgeonry that infects me as I get older.
If you're looking at it, did the Grand Theft Autos come out on the GameCube?
No.
Could you play 3 San Andreas Vice City on the GameCube? Did Final Fantasies come out on the GameCube? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right.
You got stuff like Metal Gear Solid, the God of War games come out. I don't. Bully might have actually made it to the GameCube. Bully, the Tony Hawk games, like that's Tony Hawk games. I think some of the sports games actually did. In fact, I think the Tony Hawk.
Oh
games
yeah,
did
Tony
too.
Hawk was all on the GameCube. Yeah.
Some of them were definitely, but I don't know. Because you're looking at stuff like Final Fantasy 9 and 10, and there's just
Hey, Final Fantasy used to be on Nintendo stuff up until the SNES era ended.
Well, Trey was saying that PS2 had the worst iterations of all those games. GameCube had some pretty bad iterations of those games too, if they tried. You know.
Wait, like, which games are you talking about?
Well, one game that I'm thinking in particular, maybe it's just this one specific, but back to Prince of Persia, I guess. Prince of Persia and the Two Thrones, the third Prince of Persia game. There were cutscenes that literally like froze, and it was universal for all the GameCube ports. They just froze, and you could hear the audio of the rest of the cutscene, and then it just finished, and then you were playing somewhere else. Like you were playing the game, and it just transitioned.
I do think in most scenarios, because the GameCube, it was probably a more powerful system, right? Didn't it come out later?
I don't think so.
I know for sure when it came to like Sonic Heroes, you wanted the GameCube version of Sonic Heroes. It did not run well on the PS2. And when it came to Simpsons Hit and Run, you wanted which is what I had. You wanted the GameCube version. You did not want the PS2.
Yeah. I think that like theoretically you actually wanted the Xbox version because that technically had the best hardware. But Xbox had no games, so it's a trade-off.
Yeah, I never really messed with the original Xbox. Okay, so I looked it up, and obviously there's a case to be argued for quality over quantity.
Sure.
Because, it's not like GameCube is full of... You got Melee and Sunshine and Double Dash, and it had Zelda Twilight and all that stuff. I'm not saying the GameCube didn't have games, but the GameCube in total had around... the thing I'm seeing says 552 games. Mm-hmm. The PlayStation 2 had close to or over 4,000 games.
Jesus Christ.
Just for... And you got to understand that at least 2,000 of those are shitters, right? But that's still so much more than just by sheer volume.
Yeah. Well, that's the joke, though. It's even nowadays still, like back then it started with the GameCube, but it's, I'm going to get the Nintendo console and then whichever one of the other two, you know?
Just because there's so many, Nintendo has all the best exclusives.
Or... that's
AKA Mario.
AKA Mario. But it that was the joke though. Like you get the Xbox 360 and the Wii, or but unless you're me, you get the PS3 as well. And then but everybody was just like, yeah, I'll get the Nintendo console for the Nintendo games and then I'll play everything else on the other system. Like that's where that originated.
See, I don't know. Maybe we just grew up like a little bit differently, but to me it was you either had for sure an Xbox or a PlayStation, and then a lot less of my friends, but some of them would have, I was one of them, would have the Nintendo console, and a lot of them wouldn't. Like if there was a skip, it was around where I lived, it was the Nintendo system.
Yeah. Well,
there was
that makes sense. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's sure you can flip it where it's just like my priority isn't the Nintendo system and my priority is the PS2. But like if you're gonna get something else, you're gonna get the Nintendo system.
Yeah, if you had two, you had the PlayStation or the Xbox and the Nintendo system. But if you only had one, a lot of my friends they would pick the other one first because it was the COD machine, right? But they would pick the other one first.
Yeah,
and then
you get the Xbox 360 and it's just like, oh, I'm playing online. Fuck yeah. What am I getting the Wii for? Jenga?
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports.
Wii Sports.
No, literally, people would get the Wii just for Wii Sports, I think.
Dude, everybody had a Wii. Like you were talking about the games on the PS2. When the PS2 was, I guess, new or like whatever, like the console sales for the PS2 were the most at that time.
By far.
They still are.
They still are? Is it still
are? Nothing's beat the PS2 in sales.
Yeah, it's just like that's the mark that everybody's trying to beat.
If I remember correctly, if you're going specifically off consoles, I think it's PS2, Wii?
Yeah, Wii is definitely second. But the thing is,
DS
Nintendo always sells better on their handhelds than their consoles.
Yeah.
Right, so if you're including the handhelds, it's like PS2 and then it's DS, 3DS, something like that.
Nintendo has like the monopoly on good handhelds, pretty much.
Right. I never owned a PS anything. I stopped buying handhelds in general after the Game Boy Advance. So.
And then now Nintendo just combines them with a handheld / console with the Switch. Big brain.
Yeah.
And then double the price of a Pokemon game. And
ultra
double
big
the price
brain.
of a Pokemon game, and like not to be, we should do this for the environment, but the fact that they made their game cases taller like that and like decently sized game cases just so they could stick them next to the consoles and grandparents would think it was, oh, this is a console game for Timmy. And then the whole fucking case is to hold this tiny ass cartridge because they don't even come with instruction booklets anymore, right? They just have this big ass fucking plastic game case to hold a 1x1 inch cartridge. But they do that because they don't want to be I think when they started they didn't want to be competing with themselves on the 3DS. So like, do I buy a Switch game or a 3DS game? They want to do it all for consoles, but
they're like, you say that and it's just like, sure, the environmental argument, but at the same time you're like, they're kind of right, you know, like they're right.
Oh no, they did it. They just clearly it wasn't a concern when they made the decision.
Like when you look at a console game case like on a shelf, if it's short, you're like, oh, this is just like whatever handheld, whatever you think of handhelds. I'm not like the biggest fan of handhelds, but
yeah, me neither.
When I look at the game case for the Switch, I'm like, oh, this is a grown man's game, no matter what
I guess
like
that is true.
You're taking Animal Crossing off the shelf, and it's just like grown man size case. It's just like, oh, it's Animal Crossing though.
I never realized that. For some reason, like handheld cases are always boxes or like a square shape, and then if it's a console, it's like it's a rectangle.
Yeah, well, since the beginning of handhelds, obviously, because they're smaller things, the game cartridges have to be smaller.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Handhelds are over here and their boxes are tiny, and then discs and bigger cartridges are over here because they're bigger and they come with an instruction booklet and all that. But yeah, then when they went to the Switch, the cartridge is still tiny, but they were like, we don't want the competition to be the 3DS versus the Switch. We want the competition to be the Switch versus the PlayStation or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
The only way to truly save the environment is to go fully digital.
Yeah, I haven't bought a physical copy of a game in
probably it's
2
just
years.
At first when I first got the Switch, I was curmudgeon-y about only physical's the way to do it. You know, if your thing gets corrupted, you still have it. But like after both losing my copy of Breath of the Wild somehow,
that sucks.
and just the sheer convenience of digital copies, I don't know, I'm just only going digital now.
I had to buy a SD card for this thing, and I haven't even used it yet.
Oh yeah, the micro SD card is necessary if you want to play more than like 4 games at a time.
Can I vent? I'm probably talking to a lot of Nintendo fans here. Can I vent
go
for a
it.
second?
Sure, go for it.
Go for a rant.
The Switch in general, I despise how Nintendo nickel and dimes you for everything, even if they're not getting money, just so they don't have to spend it in the first place. Because it's like, man, I get my PlayStation, I plug the cable in the back, I'm hooked up online, it comes with a controller, and I can just play my game. You know what I mean? But for the Switch, well, it doesn't come with any memory at all, so I have to buy an SD card if I want to hold more than 3 games. And I want trash connection instead of unusable trash connection on Smash Bros. So now I'm going to pay $15 for this LAN connector cable so I can plug that in the back and take up a USB slot. and I kind of want to play with a real controller instead of these fucking twigs that start to drift after 3 weeks. So I'm going to buy a pro controller. That's $80 on top of that. And it feels like, I don't know, sometimes it feels like it never ends with that.
Yeah.
The Yoinko, and I get that it's a portable console, and that's probably why, and I don't know.
Man, the Pro Controller's expensive, but it's so worth it.
I don't even. I barely use my Pro Controller. I see. If I was, I'm a curmudgeon, but with the Switch, I'm like, I'm weirdly okay with it. Like the Joy-Cons, I use pretty much all the time, and I've never had a big issue. Like sometimes the right stick drifts, but it's rare. And but other than that, like I've bought the Pro Controller. I bought 2 SNES controllers for. I was intending for Tetris, but the fact that there aren't 2 buttons that make it like I can't. What is it? I can't.
You can't like change who you're attacking in Tetris.
Yeah, that's fucking lame. But I don't know. It's nice to have the SNES controllers. I could definitely be more of a curmudgeon about the Switch, but for my money, I've been. For how much I play it, I guess I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe your case is slightly different.
I feel lucky that my Joy-Cons haven't drifted yet, but I literally only used them for Let's Go when I had to, because you have to like whip the Pokeball or whatever.
Yep.
My Joy-Cons started drifting during Animal Crossing, and I would keep like walking when I didn't want to. But there actually is an easy fix using just like isopropyl alcohol with a little Q-tip, and it fixes it pretty well.
I have to be a scientist?
Yeah, just just little Q-tip here, little 95% isopropyl here. It's easy.
But then you can be an asshole about that, where it's just like, I have to fix your fucking controller. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, to be fair, it is on Nintendo. They don't make them like they used to. The GameCube controller, that's not going to fall apart unless you speedrun Sunshine for 5 years straight. But like the Joy-Cons, they take a little bit of use, and you got to fix them up a little bit.
Okay, I don't share it. I think it's the triggers that bother me. I've never like loved the GameCube controller. I understand I'm in the minority, and I know why, because it's like it feels like a sturdy ass good controller. It's got a really good joystick and the works and all that. But I never like loved the GameCube controller, and I think it's just because of the triggers. My triggers would get stuck, like the R and L.
Yeah.
Wouldn't spring back and stuff.
Again, you can clean out stuff to fix that, but also you got to be a scientist again. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Just like if you play enough, your R button will stick, and you'll hover forever, and you're just like, well, I have to take it apart.
I think I actually did fix one of them, but I had to get a tiny screwdriver, like one of those baby screwdrivers.
A jeweler's screwdriver. That's what I use.
If that's what they're called.
Well, actually, to open up the initial case, Nintendo makes you use a tri-wing screwdriver.
Fucking what?
Because it's like, I don't know, it's like a really obscure screwdriver, like with a 3-pronged thing. So
I think it's so funny that I own so many screwdriver sets, and I've never seen a tri-wing like piece.
Yeah, you gotta buy it separately on its own.
It's like so insane.
It's a specialty item.
There's Flathead, there's Phillips, and then you've lost me.
And then for anything Nintendo, it's tri-wing.
Do you guys think if we're on the greatest console talk still, do you guys think there's an argument out there that the N64 is better than the GameCube?
I mean, I'm sure in some regards it is. I never played N64 growing up. I didn't have one.
An argument? There's probably an argument.
You don't agree with it, but it's there.
Well,
because I would say, despite some of my favorite games ever coming off of the GameCube, and I guess my favorite game of all time is Banjo-Kazooie. That was N64. I would say the N64 had a lot bigger influence on me than the GameCube did.
I was literally about to say, I've played Mario 64, and I love the GameCube edition stuff, but again, I'm getting more of a curmudgeon as I grow up and look at the GameCube, and I'm like, well, some of these aren't as great as people say. But looking back at the N64, there are so many games I haven't played. Like, I've never played, I specifically thought Banjo-Kazooie. I've never played those games. And people love those games. Conker's Bad Fur Day I've never played. There are so many N64 games that I've just never touched. And like I wouldn't be I could see definitely an argument that N64 is better than GameCube for sure.
Well, I think N64 had the same issue that GameCube did in terms of there's a handful of games, and they've got some real bangers and some real classics on there, but it was still relatively limited in comparison.
Yeah.
But the GameCube graphics just look so much nicer.
That's true.
But except for, dude, I've argued about this before. Did you ever have a 3DS ThunderShot?
I bought a 3DS. I spent $600 on a 3DS with a capture card for one game, and it was Pokemon Moon, and Pokemon Moon sucked.
Oh no.
So, wait, and then I played a little bit of Dragon Ball Fusions, and that was it.
Did you play Ocarina of Time Remaster or 3D or whatever?
No, I never want to see that 3DS thing as long as I live.
I bought the 3DS day one for the OOT 3D, hoping that there was like something different in it, and there wasn't anything different in it except for like obviously it's updated. It looks different. I will go to my grave. Ocarina of Time for the N64, and Trey and I have talked about it in the past. Ocarina of Time for N64 versus OOT 3D looks so much better in my mind.
I think the original N64 looks better.
Yeah, I think the OG N64 version of OOT looks so much better than the OOT 3D version.
I need to see a side by side, but I can see that because I don't know. It's weird.
For me personally, I feel like OOT 3D can look better if you just look at like a snapshot of it.
Yeah.
But when you see the animations they have, it's just weird.
That sounds like the 3DS in motion.
Oh.
You guys aren't Pokemon guys like at all, right? For the most part.
I've played Emeralds and Diamond, and that's it.
Do you have any opinions on the Sword and Shield graphics?
The trees?
All the drama?
Graphically, Sword and Shield looks like balls. It was, man, I've been waiting since Pokemon Stadium came out, whatever year that was. I've been waiting for a real full-blown start-to-finish console Pokemon game with graphics that were the same upgrade I saw from Pokemon Red and Blue to Pokemon Stadium, like the same level, but from the whatever game they're currently working on handheld to a console, to Nintendo's strongest console ever, and it came out looking like it looks like a mild upgrade from a 3DS game. I don't know. I was bummed out. It bothered me.
See, people say that, but there's the argument of, oh, but they have to animate. Well, they can't even say that now because they don't even have all the Pokemon in it. It's like, oh, we have to animate like 700 Pokemon.
They don't have to animate them because they're not all in the game. And then secondly, as soon as the data got leaked, data miners broke in and found out that no, they didn't. They just upscaled the 3DS animations. They're all the same.
So lazy.
Other than the new Pokemon. So that's the weird part. If they just would have been like, nah, we're not doing it, I'm sure people would have been upset, but whatever. But they just lied about it and then got very quickly disproven after they lied about it. I have a whole ordeal about that. I don't want to get into it, but I was, among many other things, the graphics were I was the big sad on that one.
The funny thing about my history with Pokemon, to breeze through it really quick, is I played Crystal, I loved it, and since then, playing as much as I played Crystal, I periodically jump back into Pokemon games, being like, are they good? Like I'll test it out, see if I have a good time with it. Maybe I was a kid when I really enjoyed Crystal. Who knows? I played Black, got halfway through it, was kind of okay with it, got kind of bored. Played Sun, got bit way through it, went I like Salandit. That's kind of it. But the Sword and Shield drama, I have never, even though I don't play the game, I have never known so much about the behind the scenes development about a game that just came out. You know?
Yeah.
I've never learned that much so fast, where it's just like the animations about like games that have been out forever. Like we know the L is real thing about SM64. There are so many games that people have gone in and know source code elements about, and sure, we know more about games, but like day one, we know so much more about the development of Pokemon Sword and Shield because fans were so mad about it, you know? And it's just an interesting thing. People take the screenshots of the trees or just like specific animations and stuff. And I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but at the same time, I'm sitting there going like, yeah, this kind of sucks. I'm glad I'm not a Pokemon fan. It's like the Paper Mario effect that I have, where it's just like, I don't.
Someone did a side-by-side of the Pokemon, like your character just running around the map, standing in a snowy area, and they put it next to a shot of the snowy area in Sonic 06, and Sonic 06 looked a little bit better. Like, like they were that, like, I don't know, man. It just bugged me. And honestly, like, I don't blame Game Freak an ounce, because basically what they just, like, in my opinion, being extremely lazy with a lot of things, but they can. Because those people, I didn't realize it until I really started thinking about it and digging into it, but, like, the Pokemon people will just buy whatever. Like, put any game out there. For example, the DLC that's about to come out, if it hasn't already, is just Pokemon and features that they took away from the past games, and they cut it off, they pulled an EA, and then they sold it later as a Season Pass DLC bundle. And people are like, hell yeah, here's an extra $20, $30, however much it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, they're lazy with it, but they don't they don't have to change because everyone's just like, fuck yeah, whatever. We're buying that shit.
What were we talking about yesterday, Trey? We were like, while I was streaming, while you were in the call, we were talking about like a specific, or maybe before that, we were talking about properties. I brought up Superman, and it's just like back in the day, the argument is just like, oh yeah, but they're allowed to just put out shit. You know, when Man of Steel was out and it was fine, and then they started putting out really bad.
Yo, this is actually a good segue. This came up because we were ranting about Ninja's recent stream.
Oh yeah.
And how he's this longtime streamer, very experienced. He's a multimillionaire, doing all this Hollywood potential voice acting shit. And I guess he did like a Twitch stream recently that lasted about 2 hours with Dr. Lupo, who's another big streamer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it had like a 5-minute intro thing, you know, to get into the stream. And then he still had, I guess, audio issues and stuff.
Like he had his, from what little I watched, he had his mic, his side of the conversation with Dr. Lupo playing, and nothing else. Like just randomly, yep, okay, just like over this big pizzazz of 5-minute countdown, opening up the stream. This is like a month and a half after Mixer's down, and he has so much time to prep for whatever stream he's going to end up doing, even though like he did a YouTube stream, whatever. It's just like a weird thing. And my point was that like Superman can put out whatever, right? Like they can put out whatever, and there's going to be the Superman fans that come out, or the Star Wars fans, they can put out whatever, and people are going to buy it, whatever product they put out. But then the argument is like, why don't you make it just good? You know? Like, why don't you try to make it like good?
I mean, they don't have to. I mean, especially at the time, superheroes is just so big right now in movies and all that stuff. Like, plaster whoever your favorite superhero is, or a superhero that you know everybody likes, and that's it, man. Make it an hour and a half-ish.
And then everyone likes watching Ninja play Fortnite, so if you're going to get thousands of viewers anyway, why haven't put effort into your stream layout?
Okay, so that's, to me, that's a little bit different, because that's like, if the graphics are bad, or I don't know, because if Ninja's still, at the end of the day, like, I'm not really a Ninja fan, and I don't play Fortnite, but if Ninja's still really good at Fortnite, and that's what they're there to see, then, you know, they're going to see that. And if they still want to see the guy yell, as long as the audio's not messing up, they're going to see him yell and, you know, pop off or get mad at something. So I kind of understand that. I definitely, you know, obviously you could quality upgrade. We know you have the money for it, and we know you have people who could test this shit for you, but...
It's not even that. And I didn't even see the stream. This is all Sid talking to me about it.
Yeah,
but
like, Trey's reiterating my rant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But from what I mean, this is like Ninja's first stream on Twitch in a year, right?
Yeah.
You would think he would do something, you know, a little special, get something like to hype it up, like, yeah, returning to Twitch, maybe. But no,
it just bugs me. It bugs me so much because the Shroud, just to like put a little sliver of my rant in here. You ranted about Mario or Pokemon a little bit. I'll rant about Ninja stream, even though I'm not like a big Ninja fan.
None of us actually care about Fortnite, by the way.
So yeah, I don't even care about Fortnite. It's just like, it bugs me because Mixer shut down a month and a half ago at this point, or was shutting down. They were closing their doors. They're still running for a month, whatever. Ninja immediately puts out a tweet being like, now, like, I'm looking at the options, blah blah blah. Shroud basically says kind of a similar thing, but then Shroud goes radio silent. Ninja is still like on Twitter interacting with XQC for drama over his wife, talking to the Hollywood Reporter about like what his options are. Maybe he's going to Hollywood, maybe he's doing voice acting, whatever. He's doing random articles being written about him that are put out over that time, over that month. And he did a random YouTube stream to get, I don't know, to stoke the flames at Twitch or whatever his intentions behind streaming on YouTube once. Who knows? And then his first stream back to Twitch, maybe it's just like, just to prove something or whatever, he announces a stream that morning, says there was like 14 hours of prep, or not prep, 14 hours of just like, oh, hey, Dr. Lupo, you want to stream with me tomorrow morning? Blah, blah, blah. And then does a 2-hour stream of Fortnite where the intro is him, like his mic isn't muted. And like, there's like, I just expect a little bit of professionalism from the guy that's made millions upon millions of dollars and has hundreds of thousands of viewers.
I get what you're saying.
And then he just plays Fortnite for 2 hours, which is fine, but like I'd expect something. It's like, but my example was if Trey and I did the same thing, like hypothetically, we make millions of dollars of from playing Super Mario Sunshine. I know, far be it.
I mean, we actually do, but hypothetically, just so we don't.
Yeah,
make anyone feel
hypothetically, if we
jealous.
made millions of dollars. And then I did a stream last night where I played 96 shines and Trey was in the call for like an hour. It wasn't like a big deal or anything. I just needed to do my 96 shine run for the day. And Trey was in the call and we were playing Melee, and then it bled over. I was just like, hey, Trey, you want to be in the call? Whatever. And it would be like if we did that stream, but we were in the situation that Ninja was in. It was like
You'd hyped it up to Kingdom Come. People were waiting for, oh, Sid, you haven't done a 96 shine run in 2 months. Where's it at?
Yeah. And like,
except it's a year and you're like a millionaire.
And it's been a month and a half since your highly anticipated stream, and it's just like this whatever thing.
See, and then Dr. Disrespect did the exact opposite thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, you want professionalism in a return stream. Just Doctor knocked it out of the fucking park.
Exactly.
But I think that he honestly, I think he does the drama thing on purpose to like maintain peak relevancy at all times, you know?
Doc?
Well, you mean he puts on a show?
Yeah, no, not like the getting banned from Twitch thing, and then the thing
you
before
think he
that.
got himself banned from Twitch?
Possibly. Maybe it was a setup.
But
all right, you want to hear the theory, the rumor that I've heard that I subscribe to?
What's that?
On the whole Doc scenario? Okay, so, what do we know? We know, at this point it's a couple months ago, but a few weeks before Mixer shuts down, Doc gets signed to a contract with Twitch, right? Presumably a very big contract.
Oh yeah, all of them.
The main purpose of this contract to be to keep Doc from accepting money to go elsewhere, right? Big money to go elsewhere. Mixer, for example. A couple weeks later, Mixer goes under. Announces that they're releasing their current, big names that are free to come back to Twitch or wherever they want to go. And they're no longer competition for Twitch. So Twitch is like, hey, can we renegotiate this contract a little bit? Because we don't need to pay you all this money to stay because you ain't going nowhere else, bitch. You know what I mean? And Doc is like, no. All right? And Twitch doesn't have to pay anybody if they're banned. So now he's banned. That's the theory that I heard. And at this point, it's one of the only ones that makes sense unless he did something really awful, which I feel like we would have heard about it by now.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. Why would you get banned just for refusing to use a platform?
No, he's not banned for refusing to use it. He's banned because he didn't want to renegotiate his contract.
Or yeah, the contract. That's what I meant. Sorry.
They don't have to pay him if he's banned?
That's my theory, right? So my theory is like, because if you're a streamer, because every streamer ever under Twitch's, almost every streamer ever under Twitch's very loose guidelines and rules, at some point in time or another, has probably done at least something to get themselves banned or temporarily suspended or whatever. And since Twitch seems to have a fucking Russian roulette revolver in there, if you don't get banned, if you get a 3-day ban, if you get a 7-day ban, a 1-month ban, or if you just ban forever on the first offense, it's basically random at this point, and everyone kind of knows that. They just sort of do whatever they feel like doing. So, if you're Twitch and you're like, hey, we just promised Doc, I'm pulling this number out of my ass, $700 billion, right? Doc, we're giving you $700 billion.
You pulled that number out of your ass?
Right. And then Doc is like, no, I'd rather keep the $700 billion. I know that you guys paid me not to go to Mixer, and Mixer's dead now, but you still paid me in the contract signed. And Twitch is like, there's got to be some clause in there where if Doc did something to get himself banned, they wouldn't have to pay him the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was just saying, hypothetically, they didn't want to back out, but then Doc, shrieked on stream and his dongle fucking flew across the cam. They would ban him, and then, you'd think it would make sense that they wouldn't have to pay him if he had done something to fuck up and get banned. So Twitch, just pretending that he had done literally anything to fuck up and get banned, he's banned, and I'm sure there's a lot of legal contract shit going on with that now. I would imagine.
It lined up perfectly with when all the twit-longers were coming off on Twitter. So
it did. That was extremely scary, yeah.
It made it seem like, oh, maybe there were like some allegations against him, and then, it was just sort of kept under wraps. But I'm sure it was more along the lines of what you were talking about, in a sense.
It's really interesting because Doc's past on Twitch has been scattered with all, the cheating on his wife, the year ago at E3, filming, he's been banned for stuff. He was banned for a few days for filming in a bathroom at E3.
This is my theory. He's sort of doing it semi-intentionally because he knows that, the drama and the having to be banned temporarily or go away for a bit, and then you make a big comeback, that's how you, maintain your viewership better.
I think if he's faking anything, he's faking that he doesn't know why he's banned.
You know what? If he's faking anything in my it's his hair.
Oh, his
No,
hair's
that's
big
real.
as hell, yeah.
Oh,
That's
is
real.
his
Say
hair's real?
that to him in real life. He'll punch a square in the mouth. I swear.
I will say that next time I meet him.
Dude, this diatribe was super insane. My aunt bought a Wii. That was when
For Wii Sports?
yeah, for Wii Sports. That's how long ago
Nice.
we were on track. But yeah. Anyway, everybody has a Wii. I guess you know what? Well, I guess we can talk about speedrunning. We can do the question, Trey.
You know what? Before
do
it's too late, how about you pop the question, Sid?
I'll pop the question. Hey, ThunderShot.
Oh boy. Mm-hmm.
You're our guest this episode. It's been a pretty fun episode so far.
I appreciate you guys having me.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important question. We've asked every single guest. You know what? Before we had guests, we didn't plan on having a question we'd ask every single guest, but it's just kind of ballooned into this thing, you know?
It's natural. All right.
And I have to ask you it. And so it's a hypothetical question, you know? It's
But we
a
need
list
serious
question.
answers to the hypothetical.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical question with a list. Like you have to actually think about it. Who knows? So you walk up to a big building. You know, it's a big, tall building, skyscraper, if you will.
I don't like where this is going.
All right, you go to the top floor. You go to the edge. No, I don't know. You go up it. There's a big room, big marble. What is it? Marble desk, marble ceiling,
table,
marble floor.
It smells
Very
like freshly cut grass in there.
Yeah, pristine.
It smells like perfectly cut grass on the top floor of a skyscraper.
Yeah, it's
You're
a
not on the
gamer
top floor
building. What can you expect?
You're not on the top floor anymore. You're somewhere. I don't know. Office. You know, big office.
It's a fancy
All right,
building.
you walk into a room, right? There's a man sitting at a desk. Goku's.
Oh shit!
Is it always Goku?
Wait, for you, it's Goku. You know.
Oh, okay.
You're a big DBZ fan. You know. He's there. He's recruiting you. He's looking for gamers. You know. He's recruiting you for a gaming job. Who knows? You want to have Goku respect you.
Goku is the CEO of gaming.
Throw you a sensu bean, if you will.
Gotcha.
You've made this resume. You're signing up for this gaming job. Who knows what the gaming job is? They're looking for a gamer though. Whatever the job is, they're looking for a gamer. You have your resume in front of you, and it has a cover letter. we put
And a bibliography?
cover letter on it, and bibliography for no reason.
Yep,
You're handing this resume to Goku from Dragon Ball Z to look over and potentially give you a gaming job. What do you put on your gaming resume?
Do you want everything?
If it's imagine it's like a real resume. What would you put on your resume except for gaming?
Would you make it 3 pages and put some shit that you wouldn't really care about, or would you put?
I'm applying for a job, so you're not looking for like gaming accolades, like I beat Death Stranding or whatever, right? Like, I've been a part of some beta testing. With Bandai Namco, I've been a part of quite a few of rooms that were full of people who were working on the game, and they flew people over from Japan to talk to us about, what should we do with this direction of the game? Should this feature be in the game? How should we do this? And they would bring us into these rooms, and then we would throw them all these really great ideas, and then they would ignore 99% of them when they went back to Japan, and then the game would come out. And we'd be like, hey, that 1%, that was us. We did that. I'm sure there's a way to properly word that. On top of that, with being a part of beta tester and reporting back on when things weren't working properly, there's a technical language I would have to look up to finesse that together properly to make a resume. But I think that's the big one.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about accolades, I'm a gamer.
Exactly.
It's a hypothetical. I don't. Whatever you say, whatever you want to put on your resume.
Interpret it as you will.
Yeah.
I was the first person to get under an hour on the 80% run of a Hat in Time on console.
Oh
Ooh.
shit! Really?
Yeah. Nobody ran on console. Don't tell anyone. There was only. See, the part I leave off. The part I leave off the resume is that there were only 7 people who ran it. But
yeah, you're leaving it off though, so it looks really
me
impressive.
and this girl fighting on the leaderboard, kept jumping ahead of each other until I got the sub 1 hour, and then I retired.
You got to quit while you're ahead. That's smart.
Yeah, I got a sub 20 in 16-star Mario 64, and then I retired. That's my speedrun stuff.
You're big on the subs.
I used to beat the Lion King as a child, which is regarded as one of the hardest games ever. So,
that's impressive.
That's one's, yeah. Who's not impressed at this point, frankly? And then I was on PlayStation 3, Call of Duty 3, well, 4 more so. Call of Duty 4. I was on one of the top PlayStation clans at the time on Game Battles. The Game Battles leaderboards.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
That's another big one. Oh, and then I also used to be in, like, the best clan in existence in Tony Hawk's American Wasteland on PS2.
What? There were clans in that?
I kicked ass at Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, man. That was my shit.
Dude, where are the SSX Tricky clans at? Hello?
There was a point in time... Now y'all got me ranting, man. Now I'm, like, thinking back to all the stuff that I did. There was a point in time where I was 4th in the world for a rock band song. It was In Bloom by Nirvana on guitar. I had the 4th best score on that for PS3. And I think I got to 38th once on a Guitar Hero song. Guitar Hero 3.
Did you play a lot of Guitar Hero?
Yes.
Nice. I played a decent amount myself.
Yeah, I'm bad at it anymore. My biggest Guitar Hero accomplishment, leaderboard stuff aside, is I beat the Buckethead song on Guitar Hero 2.
Oh, Jordan? Nice.
Jordan. I beat Jordan. That song is a fucking nightmare, but I beat that song approximately twice.
Okay.
A few times, wasn't a fluke. That's good.
But I think
where's your Galaxy speedrun?
That's like 3.5 hours. I'm middle of the pack there. I can't brag about that one. Not that sub 20 is like great in 64, but it's a landmark for me since I only ran it for like 2 weeks.
Okay, well, Goku is very impressed. He will get back to you in a couple of weeks on his...
Yeah, I helped like process a bit games that had Goku in them. I'm sure he would love that.
Well, I guess with that question out of the way, we can get into how you started into speedrunning. Because back when I met you, back in 2014, I guess.
Oh, we're going to love this, because this is all your fault.
This is all my fault.
This is actually, no, because this is good, because this helps me tell the story of how I met Sided in the first place, right?
I'm curious about this.
And started streaming on Twitch in general, okay? So, I was like starting my YouTube channel. I had been into the COD YouTube community for a long time. So, I mean, I had all the usual follows. I'd followed, CNanners, a guy whose name I won't mention because he's really fallen off.
Did you watch
Hutch,
Chris Smoove? Chris Smoove?
Oh, I didn't watch Chris Smoove's COD. I watched him for basketball.
Oh, dude, Chris Smoove was my favorite content creator.
But
go ahead.
I watched the hell out of Chris Smoove. Hutch has made a comeback lately. Mr. Sark, who I found way later, but just guys like that, right? Like,
dude, he started streaming on Twitch too, Mr. Sark.
Which is great because he's hilarious.
He's so sick.
But one of the guys I followed was Jericho, and the other one was XCal and Blame Truth. Blame Truth was the first guy to ever do a commentary, like ever, particularly over COD. Every COD commentary after that, like with voice over the gameplay, they were copying BT because he was the first guy to do his voice over it. But BT, XCal, and then Jericho. Well, Jericho started streaming League of Legends, which I knew nothing about, on Twitch, but they would plug it on their YouTubes. And after like months of ignoring it and being like, I don't want to go to another website, I finally clicked on it. I watched him play League for a little bit, sort of got the vibe. XCal was a variety LPer by this point, so I would pull up XCal and watch him stream whatever game, and that was really entertaining. So I finally made the Twitch account. And then one day, neither of them were on, because they were like the only two guys I followed. So I opened up the browse page, like the directory or whatever, right? And I'm like, what the hell? Because it's all the top games, and it's like League of Legends, and then a bunch of stuff. I don't remember what the top games were at the time, but a bunch of stuff I didn't care about. And I was like, what are some games that I want to see? And I was like, what haven't I seen in a while? And I was like, I used to play Mario back in the day. And for some reason, Galaxy popped into my head. And I looked it up, and nobody was on Galaxy. So I looked up Sunshine. And Sided was on Sunshine. And I clicked on Sided. I was like, people still play this. This is dope. And then he's got like this clock in the corner. And there's a bunch of different times. And I'm like, I had no fucking idea. That was my first exposure to speedrunning or anything. But Sided was really chill and really cool. And I think after watching him, and then I found Pants, because Pants was streaming Galaxy. And I found Snarfy Bobo, because he was doing 13-hour runs of Galaxy 2, 242. Yeah. And that's sort of like, I made the Twitch account, and that's like, I kind of started feeling like I could stream on Twitch, I can do this sort of thing. But that was my first, I actually went around and found people to follow. And it was because I looked up an old game, and it's because speedrunning keeps these old games alive. in the first place. And yeah, so that's I mean I found Sid through that, and then it was the only time I've ever pulled this card, and he tells a story too. But
I do tell it.
it was the only time I've ever pulled this card, but it's because I knew at the time, because I had a lot of traffic coming from YouTube. So if I ever played a Dragon Ball game, I was getting, between 100 to 200 viewers. I don't remember what Sid was at the time, but it was teens maybe, I don't know. But I did it just to do it because I was having a fun time in his chat, and just because I kind of figured it'd be brushed off, but I was like, hey man, I'm gonna raid you one of these days. And I hate being that guy. I hate even mentioning that I have a stream if it's not like a topic of conversation or a really close homie, which I was not really close homies with Sid at the time. But I did it just to see a reaction, and he kind of like, oh yeah, sure man, whatever. And then I left, and then I think within a couple days, I got to drop like a 100 or 200 viewer bomb on him, and I felt really cool. But
I did not. I have gotten that in the past. It's just like, man, I'm gonna raid you one day. Like, for some reason, I was already this jaded guy. Whenever.
Oh no, and you weren't wrong to think that, because not everyone, but a lot of people will come through and say, "Oh, I'll raid you one day, man," and it's just them trying to plug their own fucking stream. You know what I mean? It's and then they hit you with the fat 0 viewer host the next day.
So I was like, in reaction to that, I looked at that, and I still remember reading it and being like, sure, man, whatever. This was 6 years ago.
It's kind of what I expected, and it's like, I don't know why I did it. I think I was just playing around with it a little bit, but
I actually vaguely remember Sid telling me about you telling him you were gonna raid him. Yeah. That's a weird thing to remember, though. So maybe. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Semi-frequently when I'm in Sided's chat, he'll bring that story up.
I've probably just heard the story, yeah. So wait, so Sid, when you started streaming, you didn't want to do speedrun stuff at first, right?
No, I am variety, like beginning and end. Speedrunning is a very, very sparse side hobby for me.
Right.
I did Banjo-Kazooie speedruns after I'd been streaming for several years. I did Banjo-Kazooie speedruns for a little while till I got sub 3 hours. I did it on the Xbox 360. People hate that. I moved on to Galaxy because I'm just basically going on the list of some of my favorite games ever.
When did you start speedrunning though?
You can look up probably my PB time on speedrun.com for Banjo-Kazooie, and it would have been like a month or two before that, maybe a little more.
What year are we talking though?
I don't know. That's why the VOD's on speedrun.com.
Okay,
I think like whenever that submission is when it is. I legitimately couldn't tell you. It might have been like 2016-ish. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe earlier, 2015. And then I didn't touch a speed game for a while until A Hat in Time came out, and I platinumed A Hat in Time and loved that game to death, and then did speedruns of that until I got to sub 1 hour, and that was after Galaxy, I think. And then I went back to Galaxy a little bit, but speedrunning's not a staple for me. It's something I might do once a year-ish for a little while. But I'm mainly variety games.
Right, but Sid was your main inspiration, right?
Sid was the first, yeah. Sid, Pants, Spimmy.
Snarfy Bobo.
Snarf in the beginning, yeah, because he was just a madman doing 13-hour runs. I'm definitely Bird650. Obviously, Bird and I are friends now. I met a lot of people. I roomed with Bird and Pants for PAX West 1 year. I met a lot of really good people on Twitch through speedrunning.
Am I wrong when I think I thought you and Bird like lived together at some point?
You are unbelievably wrong.
Okay. I thought you were like roommates at some point.
I have stayed at Bird's house for TwitchCon a number of times.
Okay, so that's it.
And Bandai Namco headquarters is in San Jose, which wasn't his parents have moved now, they're gone, but it's next to where his parents lived. It's not far from there, so instead of getting a hotel, I would crash at his place when I would go over there for a weekend or whatever, visiting the HQ. So,
have you been to any GDQs?
No, it was a bucket list thing, and like, I wish I would have been to a GDQ in like 2015 or 2016, and then
now it's too late.
They got a weird vibe to them now, man. I don't know. I have a tough time turning GDQs on anymore. Ever since they locked chat behind a paywall.
Yeah, honestly, like, I was obsessed with watching the GDQ streams in 2013. Like, AGDQ 2013, SGDQ 2013. I would watch that stream just whenever I could. Because, it was a smaller thing. There were maybe, on average, 30,000 viewers during the stream. And, like, the chat wasn't as crazy. It wasn't sub-only, because it didn't have to be. And I was just obsessed with speedruns in general, just, like, watching them. But then, as time went on, the magic of speedrunning sort of wears off, and you don't really watch them as much. But also, just being at the event, it's like way different than actually just watching it, obviously. So
I hear everybody goes there and gets hammered, which is right up my alley.
That's-
Like going there and
yeah.
just getting shit housed for a week straight. That's me. Yeah, I'm
you
there
can
for that.
definitely do that. It's easy to do
So
that.
I still want to go to one because there's a lot of speed people who I don't get to meet at the regular, like, side that's never really been to a TwitchCon. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of speedrunner people who don't go to the regular cons, don't hit the usual suspects, but they go to GDQ. So there's a lot of people I definitely want to meet for a first time. And I understand because I have a lot of friends who've been there that the event itself is different, but like, I think I found GDQ maybe the second half of 2013, maybe it was just the 2014 to that late 2016 spread.
Mhm.
I would spend a lot of my time awake watching GDQ if I wasn't streaming, right? Because it was so fun. But to me, like, the chat all getting in on it and flooding on stuff, and when a streamer says a lame joke, everyone typing haha, like, that was just it, man. I don't know. That was some of the best shit in the world.
Chat definitely makes a difference, but I mean, it makes sense now with how big it is. They want to like protect their image a little bit for charity. But
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
It's obviously
Like,
a good cause. I still try to swing by and, give if I can or whatever. It's just, I typically, unless it's a game I'm super interested in, I don't hang around very often.
like it's really cool that GDQ is as big as it is and like just the success it's had, but it's a little unfortunate it'll never have that comfy vibe 2013 streams had. But on that same token, like maybe GDQ can't have that, but there's always other marathons that are smaller that can always bring back that same vibe if they want to.
I think there's a European one too.
Yeah, ESA.
And maybe one in is there one in Australia? Am I high?
You're probably high. Actually, that could be true. I don't really know.
I don't know either.
But
The only Australian runners I know are Worcester and Mike 89, but that's besides the point.
okay, Trey, Sided, you guys have obviously all come up with a plethora of different strategies for Sunshine that are implemented.
Oh,
right?
I come up with stuff all the time, right?
But like
Yeah,
stuff,
Trey's
I always
great
find
at
shit.
making things. Yeah.
stuff even currently used in runs to this day. And
Sure. Yeah.
as I'm really proud of the fact I left my mark on Galaxy. Okay,
Did
Ooh.
you?
I discovered. Do you know the Galaxy run side? Have you done runs?
I did one run. I don't really know the run that well.
So there's one level where you race Shadow Mario, and you go up.
Which
Goodleaf Galaxy,
is it?
I think it's the Goodleaf Galaxy.
Oh, like
It's
the
either that-
fall variants of the B one. Is it like the fall one?
Whichever one has the Shadow Mario. It's not the Shadow Mario one where you leap over the side. I think it is the fall one.
Yeah, it's like autumn themed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
because
blocks.
you jump up on the wood planks, then you run up top.
Yeah, I can
on-
picture
on
it. I
the
can picture
wood.
it.
Okay, so the strat to that is to go over and backflip up the side of the tree, right? And jump off the wall, so that way you can grab the wood plank early. That's like the fast strat.
Okay.
As soon as that race starts, you instead of following the path, you go over to the side tree and then you backflip up the tree and then jump off the wall.
I saw
Yeah.
you grinding that shred. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not my strat. I came up with a high risk, low reward version of that strat.
Ooh.
Instead of being a bitch and sizing it up and lining the set, doing the setup for it, and then backflip. It's a backflip. It's not a side flip. And then backflipping into it, you triple jump and just hope you hit the mark.
Uh-huh.
That's the TShot triple. And it's my legacy in speedrunning because it's there, man. That's a Galaxy strat for anyone with big enough balls.
Why didn't you put this on your resume?
I forgot about it, man.
Goku sees this like big empty spot in his resume, just like there's something supposed to be here.
New strat in Mario Galaxy. You're
Just
hired.
T-shot triple in giant letters.
Wait, so I guess
See-
maybe I can't really picture it. What makes hitting the spot with a triple jump hard?
Because it's a precise spot and that wall kick's just hard. Even when you do the setup with the backflip, it's still kind of difficult until you're used to it. So
Yeah, and I
you
guess
kinda
with,
need to be-
with a backflip, you're like at like a set distance from the wall every time, and yeah, I could see it.
yeah, and you're running in from an angle, and you just have to like line the triple jump up to where you
yeah,
land way the
yeah.
hell up there.
When I make my great return to Mario Galaxy, I'll give it a shot. See
I
what's up.
guess it's a low risk, low reward because you probably miss like 3 seconds because you fuck it up, fall, and then line the backflip up immediately. But
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking like, where's
that's-
the risk? You just like lose the race instantly. This
no,
You just die.
is a jump. You fail.
So my question is to like just go through a little bit longer into the speedrunning because you've been recently doing SM64. You and Omega Pro have been jumping into that lately. I've been watching a few of those streams. So like what? So you watched me and other speedrunners in 2014. What caused you to wait until like 2016 to get into it? Like, why SM64 now? Like, what's your thought process on all that stuff?
It's just one of those things that I admired, but didn't really have a desire for myself. It's not that I didn't see the appeal; it was just whatever. I think finally I had a clear enough schedule, and it's something that I'd finally gotten interested enough in trying to try with Banjo-Kazooie, which was my favorite game ever. So I was like, can't go wrong with this. And then turns out the Xbox 360 version is the easier version to learn to run on anyway. So I just, went with it, and it went pretty well. I was having a good time, and then it's I don't know, it's just one of those really side hobby things that you just kind of get in the mood for every now and again, but not.
Yeah, I could see it for a couple reasons. First of all, speedrunning is kind of daunting to get into when you don't really know how to start doing it.
For runs like Banjo-Kazooie and Galaxy, it literally takes me, I spend one entire day like looking at a video of the route, see them do a star, get a puzzle piece, pause, go do it myself, pause, and then like I'm writing notes down and stuff. Like those ones are kind of bigger though, because I do 100% for Banjo. I also, you guys are kind of like, we're definitely built different, because you guys get to the hard part and you keep grinding, and y'all have had world records before and things like that. I play a game until I get to the point where I would have to practice a lot to improve my time. Like, the hardest I ever went was probably Hat in Time, and that's because I really wanted the sub 1 hour, but I got that and I retired. I got a really good run for me in 16-star Mario, which is sub 20, which I thought it would take me a lot longer to get, but if I want to improve that time, I have to practice, probably change my route a little bit, and then have another really good run, and like, now we're kind of getting into a territory that I don't press in too hard anymore. So
dude,
I retired. New category.
Competition's like that. I mean, if you're like the Hat in Time person, if that person wasn't pushing you a bit, you wouldn't grind that much probably. Yeah,
and also because Omega, like, I've been playing Mario games longer, especially recently. I still go through and play Mario 64 Sunshine once every couple of years, right? And Omega hadn't done that in a long time, so I have a lot better feel for the game than he does. So I'm a little bit ahead of him on times, but the dude was constantly like learning and practicing for days on end. He was chomping at my heels. So I was trying to make sure I was always a step ahead of him, until I got to sub 20 at least. And then, yeah, so I definitely get what you mean with competition, but that's the beauty of speedrunning, is this competition against yourself. And when I feel like I've done good enough in something, I'm done with that now. You know what I mean? I'll find something else.
So what's your intention with it? That, like, sure, you're not going to go back to 16-star, but as we record last night, you were having like a big long, or 2 nights ago, you were having a big long session with Bird 650 and Omega Pro learning the 70-star route.
Yeah, so I actually got a really good 70-star run for me, and I have a 117 something right now. Cool. I'm going to push to 115 and feel out how hard the run feels then, and then maybe learn a route change or something. I think 110 would be the really, really big boy PB time for me that I would probably never try to improve on. Because I don't want to get to the point to where it gets grindy and I hate it. I get that I do that first run that sucks ass, and I have a couple runs after that I get big time saves on, and then you get that tight PB and the dopamine hits, and then once it feels like that balance isn't there anymore, where I'm angry or practicing more than I'm seeing green splits, then it's my time to roll out.
Actually, yeah, Sid and I, and we're going to talk about this in a different episode probably. We were talking about dopamine hits earlier yesterday.
We were talking about dopamine hits.
And I guess with how you're describing it, yeah, when you're doing your first run's always going to suck because you're just sort of feeling it out and doing just a semi-casual playthrough in a sense. But then your next run, you just instantly improve most of what you messed up the first time, and you get the instant gratification of like, oh, my splits are so green, this is so free of a PB. And like, I respect, like, variety speedrunning, it sounds pretty dope to do. Like, I wish I had more variety with what I did and just sort of didn't have to try so hard sometimes. But I'm just gonna let you know that like the adrenaline you get, the dopamine hit you get, hits different when it's a PB you've been grinding for a long ass time,
Yeah.
I feel that, but that would require me grinding for a long ass time.
Yeah, see, not everyone wants to do that, and that's fine. But like, if you do that, you get that exhilarating feeling a different way than just, oh, let me get this free PB now.
the way it feels to me, and that is the way that I feel like, the way I feel I know when I want to quit, is that like the beginning of speedrunning, it's essentially like a honeymoon phase. Like after you learn it, after you learn the speedrun and you know the route at least.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. You do the first run, it sucks. You do the second run, maybe it's also not great. You practice the things you know you suck at, and then like for me, my third run, I PB'd by like, it was like 7 minutes or something ridiculous. in 70 star. And I was like, hell yeah, you know what? I'd improved on a lot. And then I can go a little bit further with that where it's still really nice and I'm still getting the improvement. But then after that, I feel like it gets to a point where the only time I'm really going to celebrate, it's going to take, the work starts to outweigh the reward in the sense that it's going to take a lot of grinding. And the only times I'm going to celebrate is milestone PB, like having a sub under whatever minute I was hoping for. Or at that point, you get to, obviously not with Mario 64 and definitely not with me, but you get to a point to where you start chasing world records and things like that. And I understand why, when they're that deep, you know, going for world record is an extremely big deal and everything. Yeah. I definitely get why people do it. It's just that ain't me. I don't have the time for that anyway with all the other games I play because I'm a variety streamer at the end of the day. And I love that. I love playing multiple different games. And if I'm going to keep playing different games every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, I would not have the time to grind much further than that anyway, even if I wanted to.
Well, like, lately, Trey has been talking about just like, I'm thinking about getting Paper Mario or Origami King, but I have all these other things to do, and I want to play Mario Kart Double Dash. But, like, you could probably replace, if he was actively playing 302, fucking Super Mario Sunshine 120 Shines, he could, like, I don't know, you could have the same argument. It's just like, well, I have all this time that I'm investing into, like, it's the same kind of thing with me. I don't want to invest a lot of time into a new game because I'm trying to improve my 96 shines at this moment, and like that.
My man still hasn't beat Death Stranding.
What?
I said my man still hasn't beat Death Stranding.
Dude, true. I just got bored. I don't know. Like
I will co-sign, especially the ending of that game. I cannot, to anyone listening out there, I cannot recommend Death Stranding enough.
Oh yeah?
People they'll see their favorite streamer do a side mission for 20 minutes and think that it's just like a running simulator or whatever, but that game, there's a boss fight where they give you a quadruple rocket launcher that runs on your own blood. And if you ever get bored, just go loud because fighting in that game is really dope. And the story is, I don't think I've ever played a video game or possibly experienced any piece of media in general with a better story than Death Stranding. It was a ride. I loved it. I just finished it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I knew about that. We've talked about it in the past. I quit around the same time you did, where it was just like, I don't know, I just put it down. And just didn't come back to it. I think I just burnt myself out on it, where I was 100%ing the first few areas, and then I just kept going, and then I did some story elements in one session, and I was just like, I don't know. And then I just put it down. I don't know. But eventually I'll run back to it and finish it and see what the end of the story is.
I was more or less doing the same thing you were, except when I picked it back up, I knew what I was doing, and I did not do any more of that 100%ing shit. I didn't care about the side stuff. I marathon the story, but I still had a really good time with it.
I've memed about it on the podcast. I was talking about speedrunning Death Stranding and doing 100%, and yeah, that would be.
We've also memed about, or you've memed about routing true 100% Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
It's a lot of stuff I meme about that.
Which is like an insane amount of stuff.
When I meme about stuff, quote unquote, I do. There's some part of my brain that's just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do that. But there's of the rest of my brain that's just like, yeah, you're not gonna do that. Like, what the hell are you
willing
to
become 14 to 18 hour speedrun guy?
Am I that guy, or
are you willing to become that guy? Do you have it in you?
I don't think I have the time, really. And
I mean, you could always, like, if you're doing a totally new speed run that's 20 plus hours that like there's no established category for, like Breath of the Wild 100% already has this, and I'm sure other games do as well, where they allow you to segment it to some extent.
Oh yeah.
Like Breath of the Wild, you can actually, they have like set in stone rules where you can have up to 2 breaks for a certain number of hours. It's TA essentially, but that way you can actually like do runs without having unlimited free time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you could do that for yourself if you wanted.
Yeah, if I see that would require me to put in the time to do the things that I said I was going to do, like route.
It still requires you to put in the time to like route the whole thing. So yeah, it's a big time commitment. But
for me to learn the 3 or 4 hour runs that were Mario Galaxy and Banjo, it literally took me 8 hours just watching the video and doing it myself to put it all together. And I was just learning it. I can't imagine routing that shit. That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm not even willing to jump into 120 shines. So like add blue coins to my 96
which is literally like not even 30 minutes longer than 96 shines.
But there's so much more work to it than you make it sound.
It's really
like.
not that much work, Sid.
Oh, your tweet earlier today opened up my eyes on why I don't think Mario Odyssey would be the game I would play more than once. You kind of compared blue coins to moons in Odyssey. That shit was like a light bulb going off in my head. I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, Like,
See,
there are some moons that are kind of like shines or stars or whatever, but there are a lot of moons that are just blue fucking coins, which are my least favorite part of Sunshine. So,
see, I understand the argument of, oh, the moons are all over the place. Sometimes you gotta work your ass off for a moon. Sometimes you just sit on a bench. But like, I still really like. I love that game when I played through it. It's a weird game because I feel like there's no replay value for me. But I thought it was still like an amazing experience the first time I played it.
That's definitely it. I saw a lot of people, because like I didn't have a Switch at the time. I saw a lot of people having a very amazing experience on the first playthrough of that game. I don't think I saw a single second playthrough get finished that wasn't a speedrunner.
Yeah, it's just there's, and maybe it's just because I'm older now. If I was a kid, I'd probably play it again because that's probably like all I would have. But like when you value your free time more as an adult, you can't really justify as easily. Let me just play through Mario again, you know?
Well, I don't even know about that. Like because I sit down and replay through Mario, or not Mario. I sit down and replay through games all the time. But it's like, man, I'm gonna have to, if I really want to go for this, I'm gonna have to watch Mario do that stupid moon grab dance 800 times. Like the number's just astronomical to just be making sure you pick up all that. So they really do feel like, a lot of them really do feel like blue coins. And I think that cleared a lot up for me when I made that connection after reading Sida's tweet earlier.
See, like it's true, but even then, it never really bugged me. I more so view it as just moons, whether they like are a big time commitment or just sort of there. It's just like a means to justify the platforming you do in the game.
Trey and I have done. There have been podcasts where we talk about just collectibles in general, and I've gone on rants about how Breath of the Wild did it slightly better than Odyssey, but they don't do it well. Like neither of them do it well, and translated it to Majora's Mask and how every collectible is actually valuable and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's something about Odyssey that just, like you say the tweet I did earlier, it was like a few days ago or whatever. I didn't even really think that complicated about like, oh, as a Sunshine runner that loves blue coins, like the meme was, I don't like collecting blue coins, but then rereading it, I was just like, yeah, that does kind of translate to Odyssey, like blue coins being moons.
Yeah, you didn't directly say it, but that made the light bulb go off in my head when I read it, and I was like, holy shit, like, I don't know.
You know, I've never asked you this, Sid, but what's wrong with collecting blue coins that you've already routed and know exactly the order you're getting them in?
I don't know the route.
You just gotta know the route, bro.
Also, there's a save text box that pops up. I don't know.
You just gotta know, okay, episode 1, get these 2 coins. Episode 2, get these 4 coins. Episode 3, don't get any coins. See?
Learning new hundo routes. I don't know.
Hey, the new hundo routes can be fun unless they're like Penna, which sucks 96 as well. So
that's what I was talking about with the ADEF last week, where it was like the biggest. I think it would be interesting to learn the 120 or I don't know 120 star in Galaxy or the whatever for each Galaxy run, and learning SM64 and stuff. But the biggest turnoff from potentially learning a 602 would be actually finishing a 100% run of Sunshine for me, which is
more than Galaxy 2.
Fucking hilarious, by the way.
I think that's it is hilarious, but it's like true. Like I don't want to relearn 100% or Sunshine. I don't want to put that time in. I don't want to collect blue coins. And it's not like I'll play bingo and collect blue coins. It's fine, but like I have this repulsion to learning 120. It's just weird. I've put in effort, like ThunderShot says, he like watched the video. I have notes, like I'm looking at notes right now that I've made years ago of the 120 shine route that are just sitting on my box for my CRT beside me right now, even though I don't use a CRT, it's just here. But I'm looking at the notes that I made years ago about it, and it's just like I just don't want to put in the effort.
Okay, now you're kind of being weird, because it's literally like less than, probably like 3 runs or less, and you would have that whole thing down.
That's what I'm saying, and he already runs the game.
But also, I like doing 96 shines. I haven't run out of liking 96 shines, even though I've been playing it for 4 years.
Just do what you like. I'm not going to stop you.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
When you run out of 96, like, let me tell you about the beauty of Galaxy runs, okay?
I did a Galaxy run.
Sid's dipped his toe in that.
I know, but let me tell you about the beauty of continuous Galaxy runs. I didn't even get to this stage, but I almost did. If I ever go back, this will be the stage I'm at. So you run Galaxy, right? You do any percent or even 120, who cares? Until you're tired, until you have a time that's hard to beat. Until you have a time you're like, man, to beat this time it'd be grindy, to beat this time it'd take a lot of practice and effort, and these runs are kind of long. You know, it'd be a big pain. So what do? You start running Super Luigi Galaxy. Whole new timer, whole new set of rules, the exact same stars and movement, except Luigi's more sliding and jumps higher.
That sounds
then
incredible.
And there's
Then
no
your
intro
PB
cutscene.
you're PBing in Luigi Galaxy while simultaneously getting a little bit better at the Mario Galaxy run, and then you can go back there and you're a little bit better than you were before. The run's not as daunting.
It's a zigzag. It's a zigzag of
It's
speedrunning.
a beautiful way to run a game, in my opinion.
Is there a reason to run Mario Galaxy after knowing Luigi if there's the intro cutscene?
I don't know.
Wait, is there a reason to what now?
Is there a reason to run Mario?
Do you still go back to running the Mario variant even though the intro cutscene's there?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you would have to. I think that's part of it.
I thought people hated intro cutscenes. What? What is this?
Big drama around intro cutscenes. Anyway,
Yeah,
I think unless ThunderShot, you have something else to say. I think we're about to
I was
wrap
gonna
up.
say I think they're hacking a ROM file to let you skip it now. I'm not sure though. The community's gonna have to decide.
Oh,
I
interesting.
made that up. That was a joke.
Oh, I thought you were serious. I was like, that could happen because it happened to our game.
I just had to explain hacked file and peach file to ThunderShot like a few days ago, like a little bit.
So you have to put your memory card on the computer or some shit? How does that work?
I don't know how it actually works.
See,
Trey,
what you do is you get the government puts a memory chip in you to let you just, skip the cutscene. It's like magic.
Oh, they got Elon Musk reading my memories or whatever.
There's something about it, like SD card, something. I don't actually know.
Am I dumb or like either cutscene or no cutscene? But if you're gonna do the cutscene, wouldn't it just be fine to have a save file with the fastest time you ever got up to the big ass cutscene, and then you just start from there? Like you would essentially skip airstrip. Your airstrip, you would start after airstrip with just the fastest time you'd ever gotten. That would be your time there, and then you would just start the timer at like a minute 30 or whatever the fuck.
See, that was sort of an argument
like
before, but we're like, oh, but you can lose time on airstrip because it's gameplay.
There's the big.
We're not going to get into this. This is
like,
a whole new can of worms, right?
You're breezing over 4 years of argument.
Oh no, I've been around. I've heard the echoes of the argument throughout Twitter and streams and whatnot secondhand. But
I think we can wrap this up. Yeah. I'm not getting into this.
Anyway, I think this is a good ending. I don't know. I think ending it now would be a good thing. We're coming up on 2 hours. Thanks, ThunderShot, for being on the podcast. It's been nice. See, when I was telling Trey about you coming on the show, I'm just like, it's gonna be just like a hang. I feel like it's just gonna be a hang. We're just gonna hang out.
Yeah, it is fine. It was fine.
I had a oh fine. All right then. Never mind. I guess I'm just fine. I don't know.
It was
no.
fine.
I had a great time.
It wasn't
really
great.
fun.
It was fine. Yeah.
It
wasn't great. It was fine.
It was a great hang. I don't know. I knew it was just going to be a hang. It wasn't going to be like a lot of effort. It was just, that's what it was going to end up being. Anyway, do you have anything you want to like shout out, like Omega Pro? Do you want to shout out Omega Pro? Say, hey, I'll beat your time, or I'll keep you behind me the entire duration of my SM64 running. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not really here to talk shit, but I mean, all those things you said are true. If I were to shout anything out, if you guys are ever looking for another fine time, hit my line. You know where I live. And then Omega is doing Omega Pro Super Mario 64 speedruns. Also me, a little bit of Super Mario 60, but we both do a lot of variety. You're gonna find some goofy stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I'm plugging anything, I stream on Twitch, and that's the only important link you need.
Okay, so that's just ThunderShot, right?
It's just ThunderShot. Yeah, I got rid of the 6'9".
No
I'm
69.
no longer a hooligan.
Anyway, Trey, do you have something to say? I don't know. You weren't the guest, but
I thought it was great talking with ThunderShot. Never talked to him before, but
he's just backpedaling the whole time.
it was fine. It was fine.
I thought it was great.
It was
You know, I'm just gonna
not
rethink.
fine. But anyways, it was great having you on. Again, listeners, we're on Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube is where you're most likely are anyway. I've been Average Trey here with Sid and ThunderShot. Have a good night or day or whatever.
Bye.
Bye.